evening, y'all. Whatever time it is, wherever all are. If it makes you feel better, to press pause now and, wait till evening so, you feel I'm telling you the truth, go right ahead. I'll wait, like that Van Halen song, I guess, like, the video will wait. Like, there wasn't a video for that song. So I don't really know. It's your call, But, for the rest of you, evening, afternoon, morning, dawn's early light, wherever y'all are, welcome to the show, last time I did this, I felt like I was time traveling because I was like in every time at once, it was crazy, like not locationally, I'm still like, in the same place, but like I'm spanning the infinite, like that book, crazy Infinite Jest book that I never read, one day maybe, but it seems infinite in and of itself. It's so huge, Or like that Iron Maiden song, Infinite Dreams off that crazy Seventh Son of a Seventh Son album. Woo! What if you could spell son differently, S-U-N instead of S-O-N, and like where I'm at, you can see the sun. It's light out at 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. So maybe that should be my theme song, that'd be rad, or like, melancholy and the infinite sadness, though, I'm hoping that this show will be, quite the opposite of that. I don't have any dogs here or, any melon or fruit of any kind, really. Last time I went to the supermarket, I can't even remember when that was, but, they were pretty much fresh out, so no fruit here, man. And like, I'm hoping that, it'll be like on the, if not infinite joy, then at least the happiness side of the spectrum instead of like, the infinite sad. This is how you dance to Smashing Pumpkins, right? It's been a long time, I don't remember. We've all been in quarantine, I'm in quarantine in Idaho, my own private Idaho, like that B-52 song, woo! Actually, I'm in the kitchen in Idaho. It's not a time-traveling kitchen. That'd be great. That would certainly be a kitchen of distinction, But contrary to popular belief, I was never in that band, though I certainly dug their music, But like the B-52s got me thinking, like bands with numbers in their names, or woo, like it's some kind of, score for a game. B-52 was a decent score, it certainly would beat like, L7 or Nine Inch Nails, then you got that punk band 999. They certainly racked up a lot of points there. If there was like a punk round, they beat Sham 69 by like 930, Woo! Then you got like the 101ers, like Joe Strummer's first band, or like in the pop punk realm, you got Blink 182, but they certainly missed a trick, man. They could have been like a B-52's cover band, like playing their songs like 3 times as fast, like Blink, like 156, and that'd be crazy, Speaking of B-52's cover bands, let's not forget U2. They got a letter of the alphabet and the number 2. Come on, Woo! Crazy. Their first record came out a year after that B-52's debut with I Will Follow No Less. Whoa, shameless, Woo! And then like B-52's had that song Channel Z, off of Cosmic Thing, and then what happens a couple years later, but U2 come out with the Zooropa album and the Zoo TV tour. I can't make this stuff up, But what band would ultimately win? I would gotta think, 10,000 Maniacs. That's crazy, I wonder if they got their name from Iron Maiden, like May is certainly the first, syllable and the second word of both, like maybe like Natalie Merchant got like a way advanced copy of, the Seventh Son album, heard that song, Can I Play With Madness, Woo! We're circling back again through the tunes, heard Infinite Dreams, but she was like, no, man, that's too much. We'll save the infinite for Insane Clown Posse, We'll just settle on 10,000, Thousands. Imagine if that Van Halen record, 1984, was their 1,984th album. Woo! I mean, I would love that. That'd be crazy, you know? So much to listen to. Imagine if they had done it in the 6 years since 1978 that they had been releasing albums. I can't even comprehend that. I mean, there'd just be so much to listen to, you know? I mean, even if you were listening to like 3 records a day, it would still take you like well over a year, even closer to 2 years, you know? And I mean, I hate to bring this up, you know, but I mean, like, Dave left in 1985, you know? I would find it impossible, even without that, it would be kind of impossible for them the year later to put out their 5,150th record, you know? Woo! I mean, there'd be a lot of instrumentals, I would imagine. That'd be cool, though. I mean, Eddie was still pretty much top of his game back then, you know? Some cool stuff, you know? That's where 316 came from, speaking of numbers. But let's not go crazy with the numbers, you know? So let's get to the show, man. And welcome to, you know? Thanks for joining me. Thank you, Paul, for having me on, you know? I'm really looking forward to this, you know? Because it's all about music, man, you know, right? I mean, the German philosopher Nietzsche, it is that type of comedy show. Nietzsche said that without music, life would be a mistake. And that always hits me right here, you know, that's real profound, you know. Certainly true in my life. And I mean, Nietzsche said this in the 1880s, you know. He didn't have any streaming services. I don't even think he had an iPod. Nietzsche wanted to hear music, he'd have to go to like some sort of orchestral hall or something, you know? Like, what if you want to hear the Wu-Tang Clan? I mean, you know, first he'd have to build a time machine and then figure out where and when they were playing. I doubt he would have been able to invent time travel, then also psychically predict where and when all the Wu-Tang tour dates were, you know? So he could just show up when doors open, you know, not have to wait in line with the rest of us. But I mean, he would have had like 1880 German Deutschmarks on him too, you know? First, I have to convert those to modern day money, you know, for the ticket and the merch. I mean, you never see him with any Wu-wear on in any of the photos, you know, but you know he's got some sort of crazy Shaolin thong going on underneath, you know. I mean, 1880, that's the year he was coming from, not the amount of Deutschmarks. I have no idea how much currency Nietzsche carried on his person, you know. But I mean, you know, to want to see the Wu-Tang Clan, wouldn't you have to first know about the Wu-Tang Clan? So y'all with me on this? Nietzsche invented the Wu-Tang? I mean, maybe he had like a prophetic dream or something, you know, like a vision of the RZA, you know? I mean, I doubt he thought of the phrase 36 chambers and then took it from there, you know? But maybe he did, you know, he was a brilliant thinker, you know, maybe he made a 36-chambered time machine, which is kind of crazy for the first time machine ever invented, but there you go. He shows up in the future, sees Doctor Who, and thinks, you know, what's the big deal? I can do this. Why don't you give me my own television show? And then, because he is such a brilliant mind, he thinks up the word in television, you know? He's like, yeah, das ist cool. You know, Googles that shit up, finds out it already exists. But he's like, you know, I want this technology for myself, you know. Hops in his time machine, goes back to the mid-70s, you know, tracks down everyone involved with the Intellivision company, brutally murders them with his bare hands, you know, just to get those plans. Which conveniently for him, happen to all be in German, you know. So he invents that shit up, rides that video game craze of the early 80s right on through, you know. After a long day at the office, he likes to come home and kick back, you know, watch an episode of Cheers, you know. Loves it. You know. Goes so far as to nickname his time machine Diane. after all the chambers. I mean, you never hear too much about this in the official history of the show, but, we know what's up, And then, one night in 1983, he goes to the movie theater and catches the world premiere of Shaolin and Wu-Tang. Woo! He loves it, man. He's having the time of his life. He's got his feet up on the seat in front of him. He's throwing popcorn up in the air and catching it in his mouth. This is the best night he's had since that time he caught syphilis. Credits roll, and he's like, I want some more, man. Hops in his time machine, goes to 1973, catches the world premiere, Enter the Dragon. Woo! Temporarily forgetting about bringing all his, video game profits back to 19th century Germany. And I mean, of course he realizes that, he could make these films, where he came from. They had Kung Fu back then, But he doesn't want to get bogged down, with, inventing cinema too, and bending the rules of time and space. He just wants to hop in his time machine and go to the movies. And we've all been there, But I mean, 1973, he's getting real into the pop music of the day, too, from like Shaolin, he goes to Jeff Lynne and ELO. Glam rock, loves glam rock. David Bowie, woo! Hunky Dory, that's his jam. He's seen Bowie like 12 times. I almost said 100 there, but that would be ridiculous, And then at some point he remembers, that in 1985, Wham were the first band to play live in China. And he's like, again, I want to be the first, promoter to bring a Western pop group to Beijing. Who can I get? I can get anyone in the history of time, Maybe hop in my time machine, go to the early 90s and grab Tony for an All the Tea in China tour. Get T-Rex on the bill and be red, Woo! Then, of course, like any self-respecting 19th century German philosopher, he's a huge James Bond fan, 1973 sees Live and Let Die, loves it, of course. Here's the rumors, though, that the next Bond film is going to be The Man with the Golden Gun. He knows Ian Fleming died before he ever properly finished that novel. So he calls up the producers, he's like, Mr. Broccoli, listen, I know it sounds a bit avant-garde, but how about basing the next James Bond movie on the Nelson Algren heroin addict novel, The Man with the Golden Arm? Have it be about a kung fu master? Woo! I'll hop in my time machine, go to the 90s, grab the Wu-Tang Clan, bring them back to collaborate with Lulu and T-Rex on the soundtrack, for it will surely be the raddest thing that has ever happened in the history of the known universe. But I don't know, man, it sounds nice and all, but I don't know if it ever actually happened. I mean, if he had heard that RZA as Bobby Digital album, I mean, surely it would have found its way into his philosophical writings. Don't you think? Cheers. I mean, it's a shame there's no records whether Nietzsche ever saw Star Wars or not, I mean, that would be rad to know his thoughts on the subject, Or, what he thought of, when Bowie moved on and did like the Berlin trilogy, got more experimental, or like his collaborations, John Lennon, like Fame and Fashion, That's been on my mind a lot lately. There were all those rumors flying around that, when John Lennon was asked once, is Ringo Starr the best drummer in the world? And Lennon replied, he's not even the best drummer in the Beatles. I mean, I get it, it's a humorous retort, But I mean, whether it was true or not, it does leave wide open the question, well, who was, And I guess we'll never know. We'll certainly never know who John Lennon thought was the best drummer in the Beatles. Unless he, like, confided that information to somebody before he died, you know? And will that person please come forward? I mean, we're all curious, you know? I mean, not only that, but like someone who would keep a secret that long. Someone I'd like to call my friend. Yeah. I don't know, man, like with me wanting that information from them and them knowing I want that information from them. I mean, would we ever really be all that close, you know? I mean, even if we were nominally best friends, you know, or like we invented some sort of crazy give and go basketball play that only the two of us could do, you know, and like all the pro teams are trying to sign us and like new leagues are popping up all over the world in the hopes that one lucky coach will get us on their starting five. Or heck, maybe even only starting two as we redefine the game for a whole new generation of fans that grew up crying alone in their room to My Chemical Romance songs. I mean, even with all that, if we couldn't share our deepest, darkest knowledge with one another, would we ever be that close? I mean, maybe he meant Stuart Sutcliffe, you know, the original bass player. I mean, you got to lock that bass in with the drums, you know. Or like Pete Best. Now, that's a bit too on the nose, though, you know. And he didn't say who's ever been in the Beatles. I mean, that just would have been cruel to poor old Ringo, you know. You get people popping up all over the place, you know, like opium addicts, you know, who are trying to set new world records for crashing hot air balloons, or like, you know, pyromaniac hairdressers who have just read Barbarella and now operate on a more metaphysical plane of existence. Or like members of Panamine camel troops who have broken up because they have major desertion issues, but they all still giggle at the word humps, which is really making them question their art and why they're doing it. The art, that is, not all the humping. All people like that. Just coming out of the woodwork claiming they had been in the Beatles for a day, and that's who John Lennon was talking about. And going one further, that 24-hour period is what Paul McCartney was referring to in Yesterday. I know! I mean, I guess we could have a seance, you know? Isn't that what seances are for? You know? Get the facts. All the ancient mysteries of the universe that the dead are now privy to, you know? All that deep, important spiritual stuff, you know? Like, who did John Lennon think was the best drummer of the Beatles? I mean, don't worry, you know, to make it worth our time, I got a bunch of questions for him, you know? Like, you know, what did John Lennon think of Live Aid? You know, as an undead being. And what did the whole spectral world think of David Lee Roth leaving Van Halen? I mean, that must have been insane on the astral plane. And, you know, while we're at it, you know, imagine there's no heaven or hell. Seance is going to have some pretty hard-hitting questions about that one. Really back him into a corner, you know? Maybe don't start off with that then, you know? But like, what about the other Lenin, you know? The Russian one. Old Vladimir Ilyich. Were they like instant besties the moment that John arrived at the pearly gates? Just hanging out all the time, like all the other dead souls, getting them confused, you know, with back in the USSR and everything. All right, I know that's a McCartney tune. If we're going to be pedantic about it, working class hero then. Maybe the two of them have a band together, you know? Like some sort of crazy art rock project. The Russian Beatles, you know? There's a letter in the Russian alphabet that I took the time out of my day to draw for y'all. It's called the Zh. Some Eastern Europeans have a cute little nickname for it. They call it the Zhaba, which means frog. Because it kind of looks like a frog, don't you think? But doesn't it also look like a beetle? I mean, that's just sick, man. A symbol representing an animal and the animal that animal feeds on. A lot of animals in that sentence, I know. We'll be okay. But maybe this letter, is like the name of Lennon and Lennon's band, their crazy art rock project. Maybe they're touring all over the astral plane under the guise of this symbol, and like Prince is joining them on a bunch of dates with his symbol, and maybe it's even more conceptual than that. Maybe they're all just playing symbols. Like the percussion. I mean, would that then prove that John Lennon himself was the best drummer in the Beatles? And those are my thoughts of this evening. Thanks y'all for listening. There's a whole bunch of this stuff up at youngsouthpaw.com. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you're all staying safe out there. I hope to all see you in person as soon as this thing is over, and let's hope that's quick. Peace, y'all.